This week, we begin a special 5-part series on the classic Universal monster movies as entrees to compliance. The compliance tip of the day. This is the podcast where we bring you daily insights and practical advice on navigating the ever-evolving landscape of compliance requirements. Whether you're a seasoned compliance professional or just starting your journey, my aim in this podcast is to provide you with a bite-sized, actionable tip to help you stay on top of your compliance game. And now I'd like to say a few words about the latest podcast on the Compliance Podcast Network, AI Today in 5 with 5. Thrilled to announce the inaugural episode of my latest podcast series, AI Today in 5. I wanted to do a short, curated set of stories and news stories about AI for the compliance professional and the greater business professional. You can check it out on Megaphone, the Compliance Podcast Network, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Apple, or wherever great podcasts are listened to. Check out AI Today in 5. Today, one of the greatest monsters of all time, which of course is Bela Lugosi as Count Dracula. We mine this movie version for compliance lessons. It turns out there are several that you can use in 2025. So first, third parties are your greatest risk. Dracula does not walk into London as a monster. He enters as an exotic nobleman, charming, well-spoken, and seemingly trustworthy. The people around him take him at face value. Only too late did they discover the truth. He is feeding off their lifeblood. This is an archetype of third-party risk. Business partners, agents, and distributors may present themselves as polished and reputable, but without thorough due diligence, they can bring immense legal, reputational risk and damage to your company. 2, be aware of the power of influence. One of Bela Lugosi's most memorable traits is his hypnotic gaze. With it, he bends others to his will. Reinfeld, Mina, Lucy, each fall victim, not by force, but by subtle manipulation. In the compliance world, influence is often exerted by powerful executives, dominant cultures, or high-performing employees. When individuals exercise undue influence, they can pressure others to bend the rules, ignore red flags, or accept unethical behavior as the norm. 3, risk hides in the shadows. Much of the horror in Dracula comes from not what is seen, but what lurks in the shadows. The Count moves by night, unseen and exploiting darkness to conceal his actions. By the time his victims realize what has happened, the damage is already done. This resonates with how misconduct often operates in organizations. Corruption, fraud, and abuse are typically happen out of sight, although through falsified invoices, shell companies, or hidden payments. By the time the regulators or auditors arrive, the harm is already inflicted. 4, cultural blindness increases vulnerability. One of the early warnings comes from the locals in Transylvania who beg Jonathan Harker not to go to Dracula's castle. They know the legends, they understand the risk, and they offer charms for protection. Yet he dismisses them as superstitious. This is a classic case of ignoring cultural risk signals. In multinational organizations, compliance failures often occur when headquarters dismiss local knowledge, customer warnings. By failing to respect the insights of those closest to the risk, organizations make themselves vulnerable. Number 5. One of the key reasons Dracula survives in London is that no one believes such evil could exist among them. Van Helsing recognizes the threat, but others mock him or rationalize the strange events. Denial and complacency give Dracula the space to flourish. In the corporate compliance world, complacency is equally dangerous. When companies assume it cannot happen here, they let their guard down. When managers dismiss warnings as anomalies, they enable misconduct to spread, and complacency is the enemy of effective compliance. Bela Lugosi's Dracula is remembered for elegance and terror, but for compliance officers, it offers something more. A reminder that risk often comes disguised as opportunity, and influence can corrupt, and the danger thrives in the shadows where cultural insights matter and complacency kills. Just as Van Helsing armed himself with crucifixes, garlic, and sunlight, compliance professionals can also help their organizations as well. Things that I'm happy to do for you, the compliance profession, is if you have a question or a series of questions you would like some compliance tips on, I'm happy to take any requests that you might want, certainly anonymize them, and give you a quick tip, either one quick tip or maybe a week's worth of quick tips. So if you have any tips you want about your compliance program, you can shoot me an email at tfox@tfoxlaw.com. This podcast was created and produced